Hello. Last day of English before the break. A friendly reminder that if you're on my procrastination train, it's not my train, by the way, it's yours, but get off, okay? And then all of your late work is due by the 14th, okay? So you need to get your stuff together. You've got plenty of time over the break, and you make yourself a schedule, okay? Your choice book project is due on the 15th of January. That's like the thing, it's like, it's not late, it's like the first time you turn it in, right? So you can turn that in on the 15th, but all of your late work is due on the 14th. Any questions about that? Yeah.
Does our choice book thing go on term 2?
Yeah, I'm going to try and put it on term 2.
Okay.
I mean, something could pop up and I could have to bump it to 3, but it should go on term 2. That's the plan as of today. Okay. We're going to start with a conjunction review. Okay, so you're going to find the conjunctions in these two sentences, write them down. You can either put them on your number 10 with the rest of your conjunction notes, or you can put it on the notes for today, which is number 11, prepositions. And then we'll know all the parts of speech.
Unless someone decides to make up a new one.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Emojis aren't actually parts of speech, although they're communicative. Anybody else have a To Kill a Mockingbird book they want to upload because they are done with it? Okay, yeah, you can bring it up and I'll check it in. Thank you.
It's supposed to be looked at.
Huh?
What's the thing on the back of your other head? I'm scared. It's like you're with stabbed.
It's the force.
That's really fancy. I like it.
Thanks. My mom thinks that I'm obsessed with Yoda, because did I tell you this? If I told you this, it's like a Groundhog Day for me. I don't remember which one. But anyways, we were in like this family vacation. We were in the car, and we were talking about Yoda. I have a lot of sisters, but the sister right under me and I were talking about Yoda for like a while, and then all of a sudden our other sister was like, "Wait, are you guys talking about Yoda?" And it had been like half an hour, and we were like, and then like from that experience, my mom was like, Casey is obsessed with Yoda. And so since then I've gotten a lot of Yoda stuff. And I think that maybe I have grown to love him a lot, but originally I was not obsessed with him, but my mom gave me a lot of stuff. And then of course, The Mandalorian, and we have now the baby Yoda. So anyway, yeah, my mom thinks I'm obsessed. Maybe now I am.
They should have actually named They should have. They've been like, as you can see. Yeah, everyone on a freak. Ew. That baby. Your life will be
Get that right. Are your notebooks are they open yet, or are they taking forever on your computer? Okay, take like 30 more seconds on this. This should take you a Okay, we done? Yeah. Great. So, in that first sentence, this one is probably the easier of the two. Where are my conjunctions? Give me my first one. What's my first conjunction in this sentence? And the second one? Or. Okay, good. Those are the only two. Any questions on those ones? Okay. Second one, there's a tricky one. What's my first one? When. Okay, good. And the other one? and, or but are all part of fanboys, right? And then when is one of those subordinating conjunctions, or the confusing acronym of AWOOBIS, which is not actually super helpful unless you like memorize it, okay? Okay, any questions on those?
No.
Okay, so prepositions, and we're going to talk about those today. To me, I feel like they're the most confusing, and maybe you won't feel that way. Maybe you're smarter than I am. But I'm going to give you some helpful things to think about when we're thinking about prepositions. So the definition is it's a word governing and usually preceding a noun or a pronoun. Okay, that is key. Its connection to nouns in the sentence. And the expressing of a relationship between another word or element in the clause. So some examples, as in the man on the platform. Okay, platform is what part of speech?
Yeah.
The noun, it's a thing, right? And so what part of speech is man?
Yeah.
Noun. Okay, so you take this noun phrase of the man, because the is not a noun, it's what's called a determiner or an article. Okay, so you've got man, and then you've got the platform, another noun phrase, and on tells us the connection between those two things. On does not modify the platform, it doesn't change the platform or describe it in any way. It connects that part to that one. It's also not a conjunction, it's just telling us the relationship between two noun phrases, okay? She arrived for dinner. Now when you think fanboys, I know that for is a conjunction, but when it's used as a conjunction, it sounds Shakespearean. It's like, I went to the store for we were out of milk, right? And like, it's kind of used weird when it is used as a conjunction. When it's used as a preposition, again, you're gonna look and be like, okay, where are my nouns in this sentence or pronouns? Got dinner, which is a noun. What's the other pronoun in this little thing? She arrived for dinner. She is a pronoun, right? And then this is my verb, so it's saying, okay, how is this noun dinner connected to the rest of the sentence? For dinner, right? So this connects these two things, and so specifically having to do with nouns. What is under there? Okay, there is like a pronoun for that space under the desk or the space wherever you're talking about in that particular context. So that's a pronoun, and then it's saying what is under there. So it's connecting the there, that pronoun, to the rest of that sentence. Okay. The confusing thing about prepositions is that, and you don't need to write this all down, but I want you to write down that part in blue especially, is that prepositions, a lot of these words can be used as other parts of speech. So you have to look at how they're being used. And the key is that prepositions link nouns. Okay, they link nouns to the rest of the sentence. So I'm going to show you there's 25 common ones I got from online, right? So I want you to write them down. Half of them are like 2 letters, so you can do this, okay? Of, always a preposition, into, for, with, on, at, from, by, about, as, into, like. So all of these, but the first half are those are pretty easy to identify as prepositions. The last half, sometimes they are other things. So you have to say, okay, is this connecting a noun or is it describing how something is? Okay, if it's not describing, if it's just linking, then it is a preposition. Okay.
But these aren't the only ones, right?
No, these are just common ones. So you have to look at like how ones that aren't on here, like, well, I think we'll see some in some sentences in a minute, but you just be like, okay, what is it before a noun phrase? So like, if I give you a sentence, I'm like, okay, diagram the parts of speech for this sentence. I think the best thing to do is be like, where are my nouns, where are my pronouns, and where are my verbs? And once you have those like identified, it's a lot easier to figure out some of these other little words, right? Because then you can say, okay, here's a noun. Okay, this word comes before, is it conjunction or is it linking this to like the rest of that phrase? If that's the case, then it's being used as a preposition. But sometimes they're being used as other things, which is why to me these are the most confusing. But maybe you're smarter than me and this just like makes perfect sense.
I think this is kind of weird grammar because you don't really think about it, like when you're like
to write, you can be like, oh my gosh, am I using a ton of this? I should cut that out because that really doesn't progress my writing. Or like on the ACT, they'll ask you if there are errors. And a lot of like comma errors and stuff occur along the lines of like where these different clauses or phrases are going. But you probably can't tell it's a clause or a phrase if you don't know your parts of speech to figure out where it's starting, right? So this, in some ways, it will make you like a better technical writer and to like give you more stuff to put in your arsenal. In other ways, it probably won't affect you at all, right? So, but it is something that we are supposed to teach you. So here I am teaching you.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it's good to
It's
know.
also kind of weird though. Sometimes I don't know, just like reading a sign. That's a noun. That's a verb.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at some of these sentences. I love going hiking after dinner, but not before lunch. Do you see any prepositions there?
After.
After, right, because it connects dinner, which is a noun, to the rest, so good. And then before, right, because again, it's not like putting two kind of sentences together, so it's not working as a conjunction there. It's just linking lunch to the rest of it. Okay, questions on that? After going to the store, okay, and this is tricky, so like, I went home and made dinner. Two, and that's it. Okay, after, you guys are smarter, or maybe just quieter than my other classes, but after is working like a conjunction there, right? Because it's taking the going to the store and like, after going to the store it creates an incomplete thought, right? And so it's not telling us how that's like related, it's just connecting those two parts of the sentence. Okay, there aren't many people around here with that name. Around. Good, right? Because that name is a noun phrase, and here is a pronoun for that location. And then I wrote my answer on the back of that piece of paper. Back is like a location, so it's actually like a thing, like that's like a thing. So on, that tells us, that describes the piece of paper, right? So that is a descriptor, so not a pronoun, but of and of. So of and on. And those ones are pretty easy. Be like, boom, if it says on, that is a preposition. Okay. Something that can help you to think about this is you can think about what can an apple do, or what can a worm do in relation to the apple, or where can it be? Okay, and if it helps you to, I don't know if you can draw on your little thing, or you could like copy an apple picture in with a little worm. But the apple, right, this is a noun phrase, because apple is a noun, and that is a specific type of adjective called an article. It tells us which apple. So then a worm could be beside the apple, right? It could be below the apple. The caterpillar or worm or whatever it is can be going down the apple, right? But it's connecting the caterpillar to the apple, which is another noun, a noun to a noun. Within the apple, inside the apple, above the apple. Does this, I don't know if this is helpful to you, but it can be, I think, especially with the weird ones that aren't like of, I mean, I guess he can be of the apple, he lived in there and now he's of the apple, but this can be helpful for some of like the more positional ones, right? Okay. So what's on your own, and these ones, find the prepositions and write them down. in that first sentence, where are my prepositions? What's the first one? In. Okay, good. Next one? And then, no, there's one more. No, wait, still not. Maybe? Yeah, there is one more, sorry. Except. Good, okay, so you're looking for your nouns, and then you're looking for and say, does accept modify leftovers? No, so. Okay, at night my pillow is never fluffy enough. At. Cool, that is all. Okay. Ooh. Kanye West's new album is available in stores across the nation. And is what part of speech? I think I heard some say. It's a verb. It's one of those weird verbs that you should memorize. Okay? And then the other one. Okay, good job. And finally, I live in a mall in a house by the new mall. Excellent. Okay. Cool. So when we come back, I will start putting up full sentences, diagram like all the different parts of speech, and then we'll just keep repeating that so that we can prepare to take a quiz on all of them, okay? But you will be great by the time we get to that. Right now, it probably feels kind of nebulous in your head, but it will, as we practice, I think you'll get it, okay? Okay, so now we're going to go over any questions you had about Romeo and Juliet. So, pull out your packet. This is Act 3, and this is your chance to ask any of those questions. All right, any questions you couldn't find answers to? What? For Act 3. This is your gym.
How many acts are there?
What?
How many acts are there?
5. In Shakespeare, there's always 5. No questions? Okay. This one was like a little more straightforward.
Scene 1, question 7.
Okay, scene 1, question 7. Who is it? Who does Tybalt play? Okay, who does Mercutio blame? Sorry, will you read the whole question? In my
Who
packet.
does Mercutio blame for his death?
Who does Mercutio blame for his death? That's not actually blame Tybalt. He blames Romeo. He goes, why came you between us? Right? Like I had him, and then you got all up in my groove, and he stabbed me. Thanks for that. You could also maybe say that he says a plague of both your houses, and so he blames the houses, but by the time we do that answer. Okay, other questions? Yeah.
Scene 5, the first question, who wakes up Romeo and Juliet? I just wasn't sure. Or
The bird wakes them up. Other questions? Yeah.
In scene 3, question 4, what is Friar Lawrence's plan to settle between them?
What did you tell Romeo his plan is?
Go to the city and lay low in different apartments.
Yeah, you need to go lay low, go to Mantua. Right, that's where he goes. And then eventually we'll figure things out with Juliet. But you need to just go lay low. Right, go to Mantua, get out. Anything else? Yes.
Scene 2, question 1 and 3.
Okay, will you read the first one?
Yes. Why won't Juliet speak badly of Romeo for killing
Romeo.
Yeah, she's married to Romeo, so she has to be loyal. Okay, and then the third one is what does the nurse offer to do for Juliet?
Fine,
Fine. Okay, what a nice nurse. And my nurse is kind of like nanny. Like fancy nanny.
It's like a fancy nanny. It's really interesting because in like big families, it's really interesting because sometimes the nurse would actually go and like have so if one girl got married, like the nurse would go and like kind of be a part of like
That
because
So
that
the nurse was
family
more part of Juliet's
It's
life.
like a lady in waiting kind of.
kind of it's like a lady in waiting or it's like a nurse and a lady in waiting for like a small child. But it's different from other things like a white nurse or
Yes, so they are fancy. Okay, any other questions?
basically you're not raised by your parents. So you're raised by other people.
Okay. 5. 5 is only like 3 scene songs, so it's pretty short. But there's a lot of action that goes down, and I don't want to spoil that for you. So I want to talk to you about what we're doing when we finish this, and there are 2 things. The first thing that we're going to do is on the back of this packet, it talks about an on-demand essay that we'll do in class. So on Canvas, I have listed the dates of everything from here on out. So I think there's a good chance that we will stay in phase 2. And so when we come back, we're going to prepare for that essay. Then we'll actually write the essay in class on January 11th. So that's like the last week that we're in class before the term ends, okay? That essay, the question for the essay is right here. From Shakespeare's play, who was most to blame for the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet's death? Okay? It'll be a 4-paragraph essay, so short. You'll have a quick intro that has your thesis, which answers that question, right? Like, this person is most to blame. Then you can either have a counterclaim paragraph and a body paragraph, or you can have 2 body paragraphs. I don't really care. I decided I don't care. But you do need to have like 2 quotes per paragraph, so you have 4 quotes in your essay total. And so to help you with that, to gather your evidence for who you think is most to blame, there's a whodunit chart in your paper. You're going to talk about why they're to blame, but also why they're not to blame. Okay, and that will help you decide who you really think is the most to blame. And especially if you're going to do that counterclaim option, you need to know why they're not to blame, so that you can kind of embed some of that. Okay. So you can pick Romeo or Juliet. You cannot pick them both together. That's too easy. There's a lot to work with for either of those. Okay. You could pick Lord and Lady Capulet and Lord and Lady Montague. You could combine those 2, like as the parents if you want, or just pick one specifically. Tybalt, Friar Lawrence, or if there's someone else that you feel is to blame. You cannot blame Shakespeare, but he's not in the play. Okay, that doesn't count. But if there's someone else that you want to talk about, yeah.
Can we blame, not necessarily like, you can be blaming the parents, but can we blame like actual society and draw on actual historical evidence based on like, because I really want to pull in, so,
Maybe talk to me specifically, because this
Okay.
seems like a you thing.
yeah, this sounds like.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Can we blame the narrator?
No.
Narrator's fault,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, the narrator doesn't really
Okay.
exist. That's like
Can we blame the clown for letting Romeo into the party?
if you've got 4 quotes of evidence to prove that. Sure. Okay. So again, it's just you're writing an essay. You got to be able to do it in a class period. So you don't want to pick something too complicated. Then it's going to take you a long time to prove that, right? Simple would be like probably easier. You can challenge yourself a little, but like not to the point where you're not going to get it done. Okay. So that is one thing that we'll be working on. We'll have the day after we get back from break to work on this chart, because by then you'll have finished the play. Although I think even now you can kind of see some of the tensions that are leading to that tragedy and could place some initial bets for who is to blame. Yeah.
Sorry, so are we supposed to fill in everyone?
Yeah, you're gonna fill in everyone just so you have your best option, and then like the one that you are gonna use for your essay, you could fill that out more completely just so you have it ready to go. So you do need to do, except for other, you don't have to do other. Okay, but the other ones you have to do. And I've shortened this. I used to be really mean to have 2 pages worth of stuff, so COVID has helped me in some ways. But, okay. Any other questions on that paper? I know it seems stressful, but in like some ways it's way more awesome, because unlike other essays where you spend like a week or 2 doing it, it's done. Like by the end of that class period, it is done, and you don't have to think about it
It's
anymore.
really fun because you get to take a ridiculous story and seriously just say why, whose fault is it.
Yeah. Also due on that day, so on the 11th, you're going to turn in these packets because you won't need them anymore. Okay, so have these ready to go by the 11th. Okay. The other thing we're going to do is what I like to call the Shakespeare 2.0 project, and it is very fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. We will have to switch it up a little bit, but I think it can still be a good project. So on Canvas, down here, it says Shakespeare 2.0 project. So if you click on it, it brings you to a document. I think it's this one. And what you're going to do is, first of all, Shakespeare is one of the most influential writers of like the English language specifically, but also like in the world, right? He's very famous. Many people pull from his stories as their source material. They change it, they alter it. It comes up all the time. In the Common Core, they really don't tell us what books we should use to help you with like your English stuff, except for they do say you need to specifically teach Shakespeare, right? So this is one that even the Common Core is like, I care. Okay, if it's like other questions, just hold on to it. Okay. And so his work is constantly referenced, and so what you're going to do is you're going to choose a scene from Romeo and Juliet, and you're going to alter or revamp it in some original, fun way. Okay, or it could be like a sad way. Doesn't have to be fun, but it could be fun. You could do a movie, and that's what I've done in the past. Is like you've done a movie or a skit where you acted out in class. But with COVID, I cannot encourage you to be in groups. You can do it in groups, but I cannot encourage that, enforce that, even really suggest it, okay? But if it happens, it happens, okay? You could do a comic, a painting, a cartoon, a sculpture, whatever, okay? But something artistic that takes source material from Romeo and Juliet, some scene in there, and then reinterprets it, okay? Really, the sky's the limit, whatever you want to do, okay? And then you're going to explain how your new work was inspired to take it from the original, okay? Requirements for this: your project must be polished and reflect real effort. I don't care if you're a crappy artist, like I'm not very good, right? But I can tell when you did it right before class on a piece of notebook paper, right? That is not, no. If you need a piece of paper, come to me and say, I have no paper, and I will get you something better than a ripped out notebook paper, okay? But it doesn't have to be perfect, but it shouldn't be sloppy. It should reflect work and effort and thought, okay? You have like a specific theme or way that you're changing up the scene. So it could be like a Western, and I'll show you some examples from previous classes. I only have videos to show because that's all we did before. But if you do like a comic, I think at least you could use some ideas too, or whatever. So I have a lot of examples. You cannot just say it's modern, okay? That is not a theme. That is lazy, okay? And you can certainly not take the made easy version of the script and call it your own. That is called plagiarism and also lazy, okay? And then you're just going to do a one-page reflection when you're done. So even if you work in a group, you all need to do your own reflection, okay? You're going to summarize your original scene, explain how you altered it, and then why you think your alterations were effective or meaningful. This is where you should spend like the bulk of your time. Like, okay, I did it this way because I thought it would be cool to explore whatever, okay? And remember, it's double spaced, so it's pretty short. That's not super long, okay? Yes?
It could be something you've already done, because, I mean, I have already written, like, I want to write sketch comedy and verbal sketch comedy, but I already wrote something where
Sure.
where I took one scene from Romeo and Juliet and made it thing.
Sure, that's fine. I don't care. Okay, other questions? You still have to do the reflection. Yeah.
Do you work in groups?
I cannot tell you to, though I do not mind, but I cannot encourage it because COVID. Yes.
Some could argue that by telling us that we can't work in groups, you're actually encouraging us.
But I'm not encouraging you. I'm giving you no direction. You do you. But you have to do your own reflection. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to show you some examples from previous class years just to get you excited and thinking. The first one I will show you is a Western. Pretty good.
This is great.
Again, you do not have to do a movie. That's just that's what we did last year because I could tell everyone to do that. But you do not have to this year. And they took Act 3, Scene 1.
Hey, I didn't do this.
Go fish. I'm at Volio. Got any twos?
How'd you know?
Hey! I need to talk to you.
No, sir. You need to talk to my gun.
Where's Romeo?
Who's Romeo?
You know, sir, you kind of know what talking one around here.
Then how's about you let us speak his mind?
Just as soon as you tell me where I can find Romeo.
I'd sooner tell you where to find mine.
Get started! Just tell me!
I already told you. I let my gun just fuck around here.
I used to have it cut out and we borrowed it over the weekend.
Devil, no! You were too young to die! I demand justice!
No.
Where's Romeo?
Guys, Romeo. You know, sir, your gun is not the only talking one around here. I already told you. I'd sooner tell you where to find mine.
Just Johnny!
Gosh darn it.
I bet you like I'm used to like waiting until you're finished.
Hey, then I'm supposed to like get you out. Go.
Romeo! Oh, Devil, no! No, you were too young to die! I demand justice! No, Devil, no!
Alright, so there is one. Another year someone they did a rap and that was their acting it out. So a lot of people always ask, can I be a tree? Well, only if you're a beatboxing tree, okay? Or a cool tree like this. It's kind of hard to hear, but I thought they did a good job. They kind of took the balcony scene, I think.
Oh, I don't think it's one. Stay, folks.
Alright. We're ready. Ready.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where they are seized, for men can grudge, break the new mutiny, for civil blood makes civil hands unclean. A pair of stars from forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventures hideous overthrows, doth with their death bury their hurt strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' reign over their children and not removed is now the 2 minutes traffic of our stage. The which if you attend ancient years attend, your chauvinist and toil shall strive to manage. Trumpets the beat.
Now he's the wall.
Oh, well, no, well, I know this is gonna be great. I found myself next to the light range. Wow, dang, I was smoking my chick. I think I'm gonna go.
Down there with her where the weather inside has big a beauty hanging in a moonshine. I'm think I could be anyone as pleased as I'm hanging my neck. Michael being the sheep.
Whoa, look, the beatboxing too. Right up there, that's where I want to be. That's how we do it. Mom, what a freaking up in there. Started to make me go kind of insane. If you're any way I could choose, it was better than taking the first interview.
Oh my God, I got hair, you can shake guns. Hard Shakespeare, as cold as it is, you might be killed. What's your plan if you're about to be grilled? Well, you're my honey buns, I'd like this, but get you out of trouble. So here comes my nurse.
Come back inside. You want to take a place inside. Here, hurry. We might spend your mayor, your corner, because your mother's suspect.
Where you go, tell me what to meet. If a girl like you would use some kind of beat. Because fuck, where you go? The girl like you. Then we go.
Dang, my man, you a solid guy, and they're up to men. I'm a lovely ass guy. Never met me in school as you. So come here up, buttercup, let me show you how I do. Hey, well, remember, I think I gotta go. These quick over, or my stomach be upset. Word.
one where anyone ever did a really good job, and then it inspired greatness from there on out.
Oh.
Although they're not gonna
No, Romeo! Brother Mercutio is dead!
This is a dark day. It's T-Bolt.
That's the guy.
Are you bringing Canada? It's Dr. Bolt! Yeah! What a loser. Glad I'm not a Capulet.
Amen, brother!
What? You rat. Thou shalt know the full power of the Capulet.
Romeo, no! It's a trap!
No! Juliet? She never loved you. You said her against
Stop this madness!
Too late, Romeo. Now I have my
Okay, I'll just go upstairs. Bring your families together and destroy them.
Thou wretched boy! You Capulet rat! Thou shalt know the full power of the Capulet. You Montague rat! Thou shalt know the full power of the... You Montague rat! You shall know the full power of the Capulet. You Montague rat! Thou shalt know the full power of the cat.
1.3. Blooper reel 2.3. 3, 2, 1, go. Draw 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, and what the heck was that? That was cool. Just do it again. Hey, get it!
So there you have it. Those are some ideas. I've had lots of really successful ones. People have done animation ones. They've done stop motion. But you guys could do, if you're like, want to do a comic or like a little children's book version or whatever. Really, the sky's the limit, and it's up to you. Yeah, the thing is, you need to do your own reflection, and that's all I'll say about that. So, the rest of the time for class today is yours to begin finishing the play, to do your whodunit chart, or to start brainstorming for this. But you should be working on one of those 3 things. Okay? And questions? Excellent. Up to it.